Welcome to Craftmas Day 15. So today I actually have another live in the Cricut Family South Africa group on Facebook. And what I'm going to do for this class, now this is a beginner's class, so I need to make sure that whatever I plan for this class is nice and easy. Because obviously if you think about like the kind of craft that you did when you were a beginner, you weren't going to go and tackle something that had multiple layers, that had, multiple different features. We want to keep things nice and basic, not intimidating, to make sure that the people that are new to the craft aren't all like super freaked out with the kinds of projects that we're doing. So I bought this little plate at Super Floral Distributors. I cannot remember how much it cost. Once again, I'm going to put a price over here, but what I do want to do is to put some vinyl on there. Now, obviously it's Christmas time, so everybody's going to be wanting to do one of those, plates for Santa kind of thing. So I want to put some plates for Santa, or some milk for Santa, snacks for the reindeer, that kind of thing on this plate. I did see something on Facebook a little while ago that made me a little bit worried about the type of plate. What happened was she put the transfer tape onto the plate, and when she pulled the transfer tape back, it pulled up all of the plastic on the plate. So that makes me a little bit worried that the same is going to happen. So in order to make sure that this is not going to happen with this plate, I kind of want to test it out first, just to be certain that that's not going to happen to me. Because that would really suck to be in the middle of the live stream and then you place everything on there and then you pull the plate, because that would really suck to be in the middle of the live stream, or at the end of the live stream rather, and then you pull the transfer tape back and boom, it pulls off all of the paint with it as well. So I'm going to test that out beforehand and hopefully we will be then in the clear. Okay, so we have our Cricut transfer tape and I'm just going to pull up a corner. Maybe I should just cut a little piece off. I know that might not be, perfect for the test, but I don't want to waste too much of this. So let's just pull the corner up. I'm going to stick it down in the middle, because if I'm going to stuff this up, I might as well, because I'm going to stick it in the middle, because if I I'm going to stick this in the middle, because if I stuff it up, I might as well go out with a bang. Okay, so let's burnish it on there. So I'm going to use the burnishing tool, because that's what I'm going to do. So I'm kind of like trying to emulate exactly what I'm going to do on the live stream. And then let's pull up a corner. Okay, it didn't do anything. Okay, there is no red on that piece of transfer tape, so it looks like we're good to go. And now for the rest of the setup for the live stream, I'm going to get the file together, make sure that everything is working there. I've still got like over an hour to go, so I've still got time to make supper and everything. So let's roll the live stream. Hello everybody, welcome to today's live stream. I'm super excited to show you what we have in store today, and I'm super excited to see how you guys all get on with your projects. Obviously you see my little Christmas hat thingy. It doesn't always want to work so properly, so that's fine. It's just kind of sticking out here all awkward. What we're going to do is obviously it's a beginner class, so we're not going to do anything, super complicated or scary or anything like that. We're actually going to be doing a nice simple project with a little tray. Now I'm sure you guys have seen these kinds of trays all over everywhere where it's the little Santa tray. So I thought we'd try a nice simple vinyl project, or adhesive vinyl, however you want to mention it. So we're going to do a nice simple vinyl tray, and I'm going to be showing you kind of how I get started with these projects. Now, there are two ways that you can do this project. Number one, you can choose a project from the project section in Cricut Design Space. So what we're going to do in that case is we are going to go to the canvas, and we're going to the projects section on the side. So we click on projects. And here's where we can search for pretty much anything that we want to see. I mean, your Cricut Design Space has, under Cricut Access, has so many different projects that you can take advantage of. So why not? Hashtag just saying. I love Cricut Access. I wouldn't be able to survive without it. Anyway, so we're going to type in Santa plate. Now we're going to scroll through some of these because obviously it'll show you some Santa stuff, it'll show you some plate things, but there is a great design that I want to show you that you're able to use. Here we go. So it's the Zoe Deschanel Santa tray. That's probably why I didn't get it right at the beginning, because it's Santa tray. What you can do is you can either make it if you are okay with that size, or if you're like me, you want to tweak things a little bit, make them 100% perfect, you can then click customize. So that's what I normally do with these projects. I click customize and then I just kind of move a few things around. So okay, this just says a project already exists on the canvas, so I'm just going to click replace because it's nothing that I need saving, or that I need to save. And we wait for a second while it loads, and there it all loads on the screen. What you can do from here is kind of move everything around and maybe change the size, because maybe the size isn't all that good for you. Maybe you want it a little smaller. You can probably ungroup everything, you know, move some of the elements around, whatever the case may be. So for this project, we're just going to use white. So for this project, we're going to be using the white smart vinyl. So I'm not actually going to be doing multiple colors because I've got a red background. I kind of want to contrast it nicely with all of the colors there. If you don't want the PT, or the physical torture as I like to call it, of moving everything around, you can just click make it, and then you can cut out the red, cut out the green, bing bang boom, there you go. But I actually want to show you another method as well. So I have downloaded an SVG file. Now there are lots of different places that you can get SVG files, so I'm not going to go into that here. So we're going to go upload, and we're going to bring in our own SVG that we have paid for and downloaded from another platform. So I'm going to click on upload image, and now it'll take me to browse. Now you won't be able to see what's on my screen at the moment, but essentially it's just a pop-up box that has all of the file. It'll open up like a Windows Explorer kind of thing. And you just select the file and you click open, and then it'll load the file into Design Space. Now it does say this uploaded SVG contains following items that are not supported, text elements. So I assume that what's happened here is that it has actual text. So it's like, you know, when you click text in Design Space and it's editable text. I assume that's what it's talking about here. And what it'll do in this case is just essentially convert it into an image. So it's then no longer editable text. It sounds like I'm saying edible text, but it's not editable. If that's even a word, don't know. Anyway, so it's just text that it's now essentially just an image. So you go continue, because it'll still bring it in, which is fantastic. And obviously this SVG file is pretty much just stock standard. It's very simple, and we're going to click, you can name it here. So if you want to change the name, like I don't really need the file number there. So I'm going to call it, not Danta Tray, I'm going to call it Santa Tray. And you can put tags in here as well if you want to, you know, make sure that you search for it. Santa plate, Santa tray, whatever the case may be. And you can click upload. And then from here, you'll be able to then add it into your canvas. So once you've uploaded it into Design Space, it's not yet in your canvas, so you need to click on it, and you'll see it shows in the bottom right-hand corner here, and then you add it to your canvas. It takes a few seconds to load. And now we have a different file that we can use for this. So if you prefer the other one, you're welcome to go with that one. I like this one, so I'm going to use it. Ours is obviously going to be going onto a plate, right? So the design that we have in Design Space is very rectangular, but we need to make sure that it's going to fit onto the circle. So I want to do a few little edits to make sure that it'll all, and that it will look nice on the plate with no like big gaps and things. So in Design Space, what we are going to do is, first of all, I like to add a shape that is the size of the area that we're working with on the plate. Now I've already measured it and it's about 20 centimeters. So I'm going to make this just under 20 centimeters because I'd rather have it, you know, smaller than too big. So let's make it 19.5. Okay, so now that's the size of the plate that we're working with. So I'm going to right click and send it to the back. And we can see that this design that we have is far too big. So what we're going to do is we're going to first select the design and make it smaller. So we use the little arrows in the bottom right and we drag them in to make it a little bit smaller. Now that's roughly the right size, but what I do want to do here is I want to kind of break it out so that I can move some of the elements around, because maybe I'm not 100% happy with that layout. So I'm going to go again to the shapes folder, select a square, and I'm going to hover it over and make it cover the one section. So I'm essentially hiding the one section that I want to move around. And I'm going to select both of them. Okay, but this is a group, so I've got to ungroup these. I'm going to select the basic cut only because this element here is a different element. That's also a different element, and then that is the rest of it. So we're just going to make sure that everything's ungrouped because the slice feature that I wanted to select was grayed out, which means that I can't slice. So I have to have one layer only, and then I'm going to select an additional layer. So with slicing, you can only use 2 layers, and I'm going to click slice. Now I'm going to move that section away because now that box, I don't need it anymore. So I'm going to remove it. That is the gray part that we've sliced out of the box. I don't need that, so I'm going to move it. And you'll see now that these two are separate pieces. So I can actually move this wherever I want it to be now. So now I'm able to maybe bring in some of the elements a little bit closer, move them in a little bit. Maybe, okay, let me just send this one to the back. Maybe what I can do is to change it a little bit, rotate it, you know, so you can really play around with a lot of these things and make it your own. So I'm going to do the same with the carrot for Rudolph, and then I'm going to do the same with Dear Santa as well. And now we have all of our elements completely separate. So now we can move them around as we wish. So we have, I'm actually also going to change them to white. So I'm selecting all of the boxes, and I'm going to change them to white just so that I can see what it looks like on this one. And now I can rotate them a little bit and make sure that I'm happy with the placement of the design. Move that up a little bit so that I can then add my name down here. So now I'm going to go to the text function and I'm going to write Kelly. And I'm going to then change the font. And now we're going to look through some of the fonts. Now there's a couple of fonts that I always go to that are my favorite. So I'm probably just going to, in all honesty, just pick a font that I really like. And it's normally brown sugar because that's really pretty. Or, I mean, if you don't want to say Kelly, you can say Love Us. If you want to be more inclusive. Okay, so I actually want to take off that love. So I'm just going to do that one more time. Going to rotate the box a little bit. Slice. Delete the box, delete the layer, and then the love is now separate. So now I can have that a little bit bigger and change the orientation of that a little bit. Okay, perfect. I say perfect and then I change it some more. Story of my life. Okay, now what I want to do, now we're ready to send this. Okay, so we've got the design. I'm going to delete all of the other elements that I don't need. I don't need the hat. And if we had to send this to the Cricut now, we would click make it. First of all, my machine's off, so it's probably not gonna it's going to be all funny. We're going to cut it without a mat, but that doesn't really matter. So you see how it's all jumbled up, right? That's because we haven't attached it yet. So if your screen looks like this, you need to go back one step, just attach everything so that it all stays exactly where it's supposed to be. So you select everything and you right click and you click attach. Now when you send it to the make it screen, you will see that everything is in one bundle. It's exactly where you started out. Okay, so we're clicking without a mat because I'm going to be cutting it using the smart vinyl. We're going to click done and it'll show you exactly where it's going to look like, or what it's going to look like on the mat. What we're going to do is we're going to now cut it on the smart vinyl. So this is the smart vinyl here. So it's a really big roll and you need to take it out. And you can see there it's the white on the one side and then it says smart vinyl on the back. So we need to, because this is vinyl, we're going to be cutting into the white side. So we're going to load it into the machine just like this and then it'll end up cutting like that. All right, so we are ready with our design. Now we can proceed to the next step. So we've clicked continue and we're now waiting for it to connect to the machine. Here is where we have to choose our base material. None of these are selected or are showing up because I've selected to cut without a mat, and none of these materials are compatible with matless cutting, unfortunately. We need to go to the popular tab, and here is a whole bunch of materials that you can cut, many smart ones. The ones that are showing up are smart ones. Now obviously the smart vinyl is only compatible with the Explore 3 and the Cricut Maker 3. So if you don't have these available to you and you have another machine, don't worry about it. You can use just regular vinyl with your other machine. You can also use regular vinyl with your Maker 3 or your Explore 3 as well. So now we're going to look at the back of our vinyl and it says Smart Vinyl Permanent. So if you take a look here, it says Smart Vinyl Permanent, and that's how we know what vinyl setting to choose. We're going to click Smart Vinyl Permanent, and now you're pretty much ready to start cutting. But we're just going to load the vinyl into the machine, make sure that it is level, and we're going to click load, and then we're going to click go. Okay, well, she's done. There we go. And now it is fun time for weeding. So I'm just going to take my True Control knife and I'm going to cut it down. So now we start with something called weeding. Now this is a weeding tool, absolutely necessary when it comes to weeding. So you have a little hook, you hook into the vinyl there like that, and you pull the vinyl off. Now, theoretically, it should come up perfectly, but if it doesn't, I always like to be a little bit careful when I'm weeding, because it doesn't always, if you haven't got the right cut settings, then you end up losing letters and things like that. But luckily with this, I know, I'm almost 100% sure that it will, but I still like to go slowly in any case, because, oh, excuse me, if something did go wrong, then you at least have the opportunity to change it or to fix it. So go slowly. So we've gone nice and slowly. That is literally perfect. I mean, just look at that. You can at least see it a little bit. Okay, and now we go and weed all of the little internal bits. Okay, so we're taking all of the little bits out, double checking that there's no leftover bits. I think we are golden. Okay, so now we're done with this section. What I want to do is prep the work surface. So we have the plate, obviously, and we have the vinyl that we can see will go onto the plate and it's going to fit beautifully. So I did see a video or a photo of somebody that had put transfer tape onto their plate and it actually ripped up the paint. So I'm low-key a little nervous that it's going to do that, but I did test it earlier with a little piece and it didn't rip it up. So I'm going to try and be as gentle as I can. So if these plates are something that you're going to be doing, then just keep that in mind, that if you're using a slightly lower quality plate, it might actually rip up the gold that's the paint, the red, because the paint on the thingy. So just be careful of that if it's a slightly lower quality one. Not saying this one's super high quality, but I actually got this plate at Super Floral Distributors in Pardon Island in Cape Town. Ooh. And I can't remember how much it cost. It wasn't terribly expensive, I don't think, but I mean, these are also just normal charger plates. So we need to prep the surface that we're going to be putting the vinyl onto. So I always use alcohol swabs. You can buy these from Discam, many different places. I know that a couple of our authorized Cricut resellers also stock them. So Snippy Sisters stocks this exact brand. They are so useful when it comes to these kinds of projects. So you just tear it open, you take out your alcohol swab, and you clean the surface. Because you want to take off all of the grubby paw marks, all of the dirt, anything that's on there, because all of that will stop your adhesive vinyl from... I mean, look at that. Ew. And I'd already cleaned this. So let's just give it one last wipe. And then we can set it aside to sit there for a bit while we work with this section. Now this is the last of my Cricut transfer tape, so I'm very sad. Let's cut off a little piece. Using my scissors. I like to somewhere just use my weeding tool to pull the back of the transfer tape off. I'll say. Okay. So we pull the backing off the transfer tape. Now, of course, you guys can't really see this. You can place this on there. I mean, that's not a problem. I prefer to do it the other way around just because I'm worried that it will not fit properly. It's super static. It's like clung to my arm, which is really funny. So I'm going to open it up, fold it in half, and press it down from the middle out. This helps avoid tons of bubbles and things like that. Okay, now we take our little squeegee thingy. Okay, now what we're doing is we're making sure that the vinyl is going to be sticking to the transfer tape. So we put up the transfer tape, pull the transfer tape back. It does work for a lot of people, but very often it doesn't work for me. So I always flip this over and pull the backing sheet off the transfer tape. Okay, and then like there, you'll see, so it hasn't stuck there. So this is where I like to use my weeding tool once again and just press it down. So you just grab the edge of the letter and then you can weed it off, or you can let it get it off quite easily. It doesn't always work for all of these things, but I find that for some of the vinyls, they just don't want to stick. And if that does also happen, a lot of people say do this. And very often many people have said that you can do that with a hairdryer as well. So if you use a hairdryer on the back, that will help loosen the adhesive. Okay, this is silicone paper. So essentially what we're going to do now is we're going to place it onto the design like that. Okay, take our board and we're going to then place the design where we want it and then stick it down. Right, so we can go in the middle there. Make sure that it's even on either side. Okay, now we stick it down on the one side, we lift everything up. So this is to allow us to place our design. So we want to stick that down properly. It allows us to place our design without worrying about everything sticking. Now what we can do is to squeegee it on slowly. Okay, so we take our little squeegee and we slowly push it down. This helps us to avoid bubbles and things like that. So slowly on. No rush whatsoever. There we go. Now, I think I've suitably squeegeed it on, so I'm going to very gently pull it back. If you find that your vinyl is coming up, what you can do is you can just squeegee it on again, or just leave it there for about an hour or so and come back and put it on, because the adhesive under the vinyl actually takes a couple of days to cure. So don't worry too much about. So essentially what you want to do then is you want to give it some time to cure and then come back and try and pull it off. There we go. And that one pulled up a little bit, so I'm just going to flatten that one back down. There we go. So that is our little project. Like I said, I need to cut another eye, and I want to actually just see if I can change this orientation of this O, because like I said, the adhesive cures over time. So theoretically you could do exactly what I just did now, where I moved the one letter, because then it doesn't actually cure immediately. So you can move a few things around. Obviously you don't want to move too much around because you might like mess it up. But I really hope that you guys enjoyed this one. You can see the whole plate. A super huge thank you for joining me today and seeing a nice, super easy beginners level class. And I hope to see you in my next video. And remember, be kind to someone today. See you soon.